Michael, dude, I'm pretty excited for this game, so I wanted to bring it in. Eternal Strands comes in early 2025. Let's talk about it. The latest trailer shows that players' creativity and reactivity will be put into the test as they venture into the Enclave. With the ability to climb everything and interact with almost every facet of the world through temperature and forces, players will need to find innovative ways to maneuver through various environments that have been unpredictably affected by extreme weather events. From a flash freeze hitting the lush forest of Glintwood Hollow to a heat wave spreading across the imposing architectural ruins of the Upper Denver, the real challenge of Eternal Strands, however, lies in defeating the 9 towering bosses that freely roam the Enclave. Dude, it feels like a mix of Immortals Fenyx Rising meets Ico. No. Dude, why am I going blank now? It's all the big bosses. It is a huge game. We always talk about it here on the show too. I'm going blank, Michael. It'll come to me. But it's one of those games, dude. It's a boss fight after a boss fight after a boss fight. But you go out and you loot up and you come back and you craft and you talk to your people at headquarters. And it's just one of those things. Shadow of the Colossus, dude. I knew it was there. Dude,
there it is.
Right there it is. I knew I'd get there. So it's a combination of, dude, of those two games. And I was like, I'm all in. And I'm pretty sure, I'm almost positive it takes part of the team that worked on Immortal Fenyx Rising and brought them into the new studio here. And that's what they're working on over at Yellow Brick Games. And I was very excited. Did you check out the trailer?
No, as soon as I saw this in here, I was like, I gotta check out the trailer after this. It's a game I've heard some murmurs, I've heard some rumors, I've heard a lot of what people you say. It's like that Shadow of that Colossus for current play for 2024, 2025. I gotta check this out as soon as we're done here, because this is a game that I've been hearing rumors of, and hearing you talk about it, I'm all in.
Absolutely. We have a quote here too. Quote, "We are breaking a lot of traditional conventions and giving the tools to the player to overcome the challenges in front of them however they see fit," end quote, says Jeff Galaski, the executive producer and COO at Yellow Brick Games. Quote, "Take our ice wall power, for example. Sure, you can cast it to pin enemies in place, but you can also use it to create an ice shield against Drake's breath or carve an ice path safely through a burning forest. Perhaps one of my favorite uses is while climbing an epic and casting ice on his hands so to grab his can't grab Bryn, thus buying her time for a tactical blow. Well, that is until it manages to crush the ice in his hands and using its sheer strength or melt it through other means," end quote. I think this brings multitudes of opportunities, dude. Like, you'll see them freeze the creature's foot in place to kind of hold them still, where you actually get a couple hits in, and there's just going to be opportunities that I think some creative players are going to pull off some incredible things. Very looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think it gives us that sort of water cooler moment that you always talk about with game endings, but with boss fights, right? It's going to be like, hey, how did you take down this boss? And you can be like, oh, I froze its feet. And somebody else is going to be like, look, I jumped up on it, froze its hands. I think that is always a cool thing when you have these sort of epic boss games. It's just like, there's so many different ways, right? It's not going to be like, oh yeah, I finally figured out the strategy was to do this, jump on its tail, whatever. It feels like you and I are going to be able to say, oh, I did this, man. Oh, I didn't even think about that. I went about it this way. And that is always super cool in these epic boss games of let the player choose how they want to beat the boss. Don't force the player to beat the boss in a certain way. And that has me even more excited for this game.
Absolutely. They focused on gameplay first, so we'll see how that plays out. And then, dude, there's a ton of opportunities here. Go back, loot, craft, and that's always my hook, right? But we want to hear from you. Hit us up. Are you excited for Eternal Strands? ITGTV.com.